Okay, well, people seem to like the driving video, so I'm going to try another one and see if this mount doesn't wobble too much, hopefully. This is one of my drives home. I'm a little ways away from my school because I don't want to kind of put anything that'll show where the school's at, you know. But it's a little out of the way, but it's along the way, sort of. But you get an idea of the countryside that I go through anyways, even if it's not directly the same. Well, this has a lot of bounce. Hopefully it's not too bad in the finished video. So what's it been? 2.5 months, almost 3 months now, and things have been going quite a bit better. It's the beginning of rainy season though, which it's actually not that rainy now, but it will be, trust me. Very humid off and on. Luckily it's between rains. It's been dry. I don't expect it to be that way anytime soon again for a while, but I'll take what I can get. But it is cool biz as well, which means I don't have to wear a full suit to work. I can do no tie, short sleeve, although I don't have that many short sleeve shirts, so I'm still doing mostly long sleeve shirts, but that's not horrible. Without a jacket at least and no tie, it's a little bit cooler. My Japanese is coming along, not by leaps and bounds, but I can understand a little bit more at the stores. I know, kind of the key phrases I'm listening for. I've got my first year kanji down, Ichinensei. So that's the first 80 kanji. Ninensei, second year, is I believe 160. And I've got the definitions of well over half of those memorized. The readings are trickier because there's multiple readings. Some of them I have down, some of them I don't. I've got a long ways to go though. They're quite a bit step up from in difficulty from the first year. But still, I'm very smarter than a second grader, I guess. Not yet. I don't have that many kanji down. Still doing lessons twice a month. That's helpful. Just getting out, trying to make myself get out. I spent a good part of yesterday, well, day before yesterday I stayed at home. Yesterday I got out and got cleaning supplies and finally cleaned out my drains. I'll have to do a video on that maybe. Japanese drains are different, to say the least. And if you're not careful with keeping them clean, they get pretty foul pretty fast. Anyways, so you can see some of the small town areas I'm going through. It's kind of gray. I don't know how much you can actually see, but the buildings, the narrow little streets. Can you see? Do we have any gutters? I'm going to do a gutter video because Japanese gutters are incredible too. Mostly because of rainy season. I mean, they get some serious rain, so they need, little ditches like in America won't cut it. You might be able to kind of see on the left there's a gutter that's covered with little cement blocks with holes in it. But most of the gutters I pass are not covered. And if you drive into one of those, your trip is over. We'll see if I pass any. I think on the right there's a few coming up maybe. Also, as we get past rice fields, quite often there's no guardrail. Guardrails seem to be more for protecting things rather than protecting you as a driver. This road's got actually quite a few down this stretch. As I'm saying that, they're pretty well guarded, but a lot of times they're not. It's just a drop off if you get a little too far over. Well, you can kind of see on the right it just drops into the rice fields if you get over, but it's not too narrow of a shoulder there. Sometimes it's pretty crazy. So, anything else in Japan? All sorts of stuff has happened, I guess. I started junior high school. I've only done a couple classes, but it's very different. I went to sports day at one of my schools. Oh, here you go on the left. You can kind of see that huge drop off if you're a little too far over. Um, Sports Day is normally in August in most of Japan, but it gets so hot in Kyushu that there's no way you can do Sports Day in August in Kyushu, for most of Kyushu anyway. So my schools, a couple of them did Sports Day 2 weeks ago on the weekend, and I went to that just because I wanted it. Got me out of the house. It was something to do, and I wound up seeing, well, I saw all of my students from that school, of course, and I met about a half dozen of the junior high school students for that area. But apparently about half of the junior high school saw me, because that was the topic of conversation the next week when I started junior high school. Everyone had seen me, everyone knew who I was, which was cool. I mean, it makes it a little easier. So, definitely interesting. Ooh, police officer up ahead. So I want to make sure I'm doing the speed limit. Speed limits along these roads. This road is 50. Oh, we're passing speed limit on that side now, you can see. Speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour, which is in the ballpark of 30 miles an hour, I believe. Maybe 35. And that's about the fastest it gets around here. I think I said that in my last video. 35 to 40 is pretty much it. I mean, 30 to 35. 40 kilometers an hour is pretty typical limit. 50 is about the highest I've ever seen, in this area anyways. Let's see. We have these red, I think they're just warning. The road turns red. I asked a native Japanese why they're red, and they didn't know, which was kind of funny. But it's basically got to be just a warning that, you know, it narrows or whatever. Oh, 30. There goes the officer. I have never been pulled over by the police. I hope to never be pulled over by the police, especially since I can't speak English. I mean, can't speak Japanese well enough. That would be probably a bad situation. Oh, yellow. That's another thing. Yellow lights in Japan seem to be a recommendation much more so than in America. Most people in America tend to slow down, especially on a stale yellow. In Japan, it can be, I mean, seconds away from turning red. You know it's seconds away from turning red, and people are just gunning it through. For that matter, red lights often seem to be a recommendation. They're not. You'll get pulled over if you run them and get caught, but people run them constantly running red lights. Usually late yellows, but I see people that just blatantly run red lights, and it's really weird. Someone said, one of the other ALTs described the way that Japan drives as the right-of-way is, you know, in America, first person gets right-of-way. If everyone's at the same time, the right has right-of-way. We have these very strict rules. And those rules apply generally in Japan as well. But also there is the class system. So all things being equal, the nicer car has right-of-way often. Well, like here, the car I'm passing with the white plates is obviously a nicer car, but I'm taking right-of-way because it's mine. But in a lot of cases, not a lot of cases, sometimes you'll see them take the right-of-way. Usually it's only if it's fairly safe. They're not just going to pull out in traffic and risk it or injuring the car. But at a four-way stop, quite often, they'll just assert right-of-way because they've got the nicer car. And you're expected to give right-of-way because they've got the nicer car. You see that a lot more with the really big cars, people who drive like Hummers and stuff. Of course, they're a different type of person too. Speaking of, as I just ramble, but what else is there to do? Motorcycles. There's a few older motorcyclists I've seen riding nice bikes, and they're mellow, typical, what you expect. But I would say, at least in my area, 70 to 80% of motorcyclists are young. And motorcycles tend to be much smaller too. Barely bigger than a scooter, really. But they will rev them high. And they don't just rev them to get to speed. You know, you would, forgive my sound effects, you would typically rev, you know, and then cruise off down, right? Well, they will go full gas, no gas, full gas, no gas, full gas, no gas, just trying to make as much noise as possible. I keep trying to catch them as they go by, but they're fat by before I get the camera turned on, just to record them. But you have these guys going by, just wah, 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 wah. Like I said, my weird special effects, but where they will just crank their engines, and they'll do it 1, 2 in the morning as they're going by the bypass. It's, you know, just constant. So it's enough to, even as a motorcycle rider, kind of make me irritated with motorcyclists around here quite a bit. I think that's the Yankee, you know, the really loud, outgoing, obnoxious youth kind of attitude. There just seems to be several groups of them around here that just cruise back and forth on their bikes, just revving their engines as high as they can. So yeah, we came through the little town there, one of the bigger little towns in the area. I don't know if there was anything to see as we went through, but you could see the streets were not terribly wide. And actually, these streets are nice. They're quite a bit wider than the average, especially for a little town like that. Those are wide streets for that size of a town. Quite often, they're literally 1 lane, 2 lane roads. I mean, they're 2-way streets, but you don't fit 2 cars past each other ever on some of them. I think it boils down to Japan's eminent domain laws must be quite a bit different. And when they build streets, they took whatever was there, and that's the street. I don't think they've ever been widened. They've never taken a little bit of strip of someone's property to widen a road. Partly, though, it's because there's big walls protecting people's houses, and they're built up on the side of hills, and there's not a lot of room to expand anyways. We're driving past the river. You can kind of see, not really, but you see strips of guardrail, strips of no guardrail. Again, get a little too far over to the left, and it's bad news bears for you, because you're not coming back up out of that little drop off. And it's not a very big shoulder, you'll notice there. Right? With the grass, it's hard to tell, but little spots where there's no grass, you can kind of see how narrow that shoulder is. It's not very wide before that curb is gone and you're in the river. That still takes me a while to get used to. It's hard for me to, especially if there's a big truck coming the other way where you really got to hug the left. Yeah, that's rough. It still scares me once in a while, but I'm getting pretty used to it. Especially these roads that I drive a lot. I'm fairly comfortable with them now, so it's not a big deal. And there's not a lot of big trucks that come down here. A community bus every once in a while, something like that. But they're not as wide as like a bus in the States, so it's not too bad. So yeah, we're almost to the turnoff. Maybe I'll run this till we get to the turnoff backed up to my place, just to kind of let you see some of this countryside. Not a whole lot to see, I guess. It's gray. You kind of get in the straight ahead, not a whole lot to the sides, but you get a little bit of the buildings, I think, as we go. So anyways, yeah, things are good. Everything's kind of settled in. I still have a disaster of an apartment, which surprises no one, I suppose. I really wanted it cleaned up by now to do an apartment tour, and I've gotten it pretty clean several times, but then I keep going back and getting some new box of something, or just keep piling trash up, and have more to clean constantly, so that's next on my constantly on my agenda. But I got a big chunk of that said. Like I said, I did my drains and stuff, and that was a big spot towards being done. Makes it easier to keep my dishes and stuff when my drains are clean and flowing properly, because they were not there for a while and they were starting to stink, so it's nice to be clean. So yeah, this we're almost into my city. This is this Ota? This might be Aka we're passing now. There's so many little towns that all run together that are kind of part of the area. My city is Tagawa-shi, Tagawa City, but Tagawa-gun is the kind of the area that we're in. It's obviously named after the city. Fukuoka-ken is the name of the prefecture. Fukuoka, ken meaning prefecture. Tagawa-gun means the Tagawa area, basically region. Tagawa-shi is my city specifically. But all these little towns are part of Tagawa-gun, and they all kind of run together off and on. Some are a little bit spread farther apart. As we get closer to the city, these all definitely just, I don't know exactly where one ends and the next begins. We've passed a couple gas stations now. Gas you see is $1.38, $1.34 I think was the cheapest maybe. That's per liter, which works out to 3 liters to the gallon, I think. So 4.20, 4.30, something in that ballpark a gallon. Well, 430 yen, which because of normally, I mean, for me, it's about the equivalent of $4.30 because the yen spends like $1. In actual currency conversion, because the yen is tanking right now, it's closer to $5 or $6 a gallon. But that conversion only really matters when I'm sending money home, which I have to do this month. Anyways, so it spends like about $4.50 a gallon, but this little car gets 45 to 50 miles a gallon. So it's really not too bad. You know, I fill it twice a week maybe, and it's in the ballpark of 3,000 yen to fill it. So, I mean, twice a week, twice a month. In the ballpark of 3,000 yen to fill it, a little more than 3,000 yen to fill it. So yeah, you know, $70 a month or so, give or take. And what else? I still have a video coming up for the festival. The Kawa, can I remember the word now? Kawawatari, I think. Kawawatari, it's river crossing, water. The river, Kawa is river crossing. River crossing festival. I'll have the name correct when I do the video. But I've got so much video for that, and it needs to be edited, and it needs to be cut down and selected, and I've been a lazy butthole and just have not been feeling like editing it, and so I have not got much done on it. But it will come out at some point. I'll get it edited. Hopefully it'll be nice. This is going to be just an unedited, this is what it is, upload it, you can view it, you can not view it. Take it or leave it. Hopefully people will enjoy it. Like I said, if nothing else, you kind of get to see the drive that I make more or less every day. I mean, I have 6 different schools I go to. Not all of them are this way, but like I said, the countryside is very similar no matter which direction I go. But the set features obviously are different. Not sure what he was waving for. Maybe slow down, maybe, I don't know. I've never seen anyone there like that before. Oh, that's one thing that's cool is in the mornings when you see all the crosswalks where the kids cross the street, there'll always be people, parents, teachers, often teachers. At one of my schools, the principal's out every morning across at the main crosswalk for the school. And when the lights change, they'll walk out and flag traffic, make sure people stop. There's always adults there taking responsibility, making sure the kids cross the street. Even junior high and stuff who really should have no problem crossing. There's people there making sure that they're safe, which is kind of a nice thing. Always nice to see. especially with the red light runners and the like. Okay, well, we're back on the last leg to my place. I haven't shown this before, but there's not a lot to see this way, so I think I'm going to cut it off. And it's already crazy long. What am I, 20 minutes? Boy, if you made it this long, you are a glutton for punishment, because this had to have been stupid boring. But thank you, and we'll see you next time.